Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's moose watching vlog. I sat out here for a few hours editing videos. It's now getting dim. It is 6:30 and let's get back on the road. See if we can see any wildlife tonight. So today we drove so far 261 miles in search of blockages and filming wildlife. Now I went down this nice narrow road here. This was an interesting road to drive in earlier. Got a little bit of mud. Gonna go home tomorrow finally after over a week out in the wilderness. We did leave though after 3 days just to get fuel, get rid of garbage, and get some more food for out here. If we're moving around hundreds of miles a day, we have to leave every 3 days or so. If we have very productive days where we are stopping all the time and only travel like 50 miles a day, then we can stay out very, very long. And in those cases, I always have a lot of water, MREs, that I don't intend on eating, but they're here in case I want to stay out longer. I also have filters so I can make my own water if I had to. I would have drove deeper down this road, but there was suddenly a sign that said you can't proceed without permission, so I just parked next to the sign for a few hours, and now we're going to head back out to the main arteries. Maybe we could see a few moose. They come out usually about an hour before sundown. They like dusk, slightly after. If you're driving around on these roads at 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, at dawn, you don't really see moose. They like just around dusk. You can see them any time of the day, but this is the most likely time you will see them. This road looks messy, but it's not that bad. We don't even need the four-wheel drive. Today we went to a place where we saw thousands of logs all over the side of the road from all winter when they were shipping logs and going over potholes and frost heaves. They lost so many, I can't believe it, but they always pick it up. You never see that in the summer. When the roads become nice, when they grade them and they're nice and smooth, the trucks don't really lose logs. But like people always mention in my comments, like, yeah, that is real. Like, it's a possibility what you see in the Final Destination movie. It is a reality. Yeah, we're gonna go this way instead. Hopefully the sun's not too bright. We just got to get over that hill. Today I visited some really interesting tree farms in very far northern Maine where I typically don't go, like right along the border, very tippy top. I never really explored those logging roads. Their maintenance is very good. I didn't really find much of anything wrong out there. We just found logs everywhere because of all the frost heaves. And it's really not the driver's faults. There's many times I gotta make sure I have both hands on the wheel because around a corner is a big hole and you just can't stop in time. You gotta hit it. You just gotta keep the wheels straight, least likely to break something. Those logs, they drive fast, those log truck drivers. They'll be going 50, 60 miles an hour, blasting down these roads, potholes or not. And the reality is, it's worthwhile even if things fall off. There's warnings at the ends of these roads. You pass at your own risk. It tells you about those dangers. And if you think about it like this, if they drove half as fast, bringing 100% of their load in, versus showing up with 90 or 95% of their load, but they're driving twice as fast, well, now they can make twice as many trips that day. They're getting a lot more in there. And at the end of the year, they do end up picking everything up in the warmer months. I'm not sure how. I'm assuming someone's driving really slow and there's like another guy riding on the crane. Something like that. I've never seen it done, so I really don't know 100% how they go about picking all that up. But there's a lot. You'll definitely see some logs today. This road here, there's not as many log trucks taking it, but there's a few up here I'll show you. We're not going to see any stacked logs here because these roads here actually dried out enough where they're able to. They actually started grading a little bit, but there's some areas that still have mud season until June. Like right here, you're not really seeing any snow. I don't think there's any around. Today we drove to a few places. There's so much snow you can't go down the road. You're going to get stuck. And those are the areas, they're the dark valleys, very shaded roads, very cool, they're the higher elevation. It's not going to melt until early June. The ground's going to be frozen into early June. So they can't really fix those roads. Those issues are just going to keep on going. I'll try to clean the windshield a little bit, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. I got to clean the inside of the windshield a little bit. I don't bother doing it all the time because it just reoccurs. Overnight it fogs up in here, and that's basically what you see there. There's already dust in the vehicle just from taking these type of roads, and when it fogs up, it beads up, kind of concentrating the dust into marks. Okay, well, we just drove past. This is now like a giant island to the right. That same road we just went by has another on-ramp coming up. So now we're coming up to the section where log trucks do run, and we're probably going to see a lot of logs in just a moment. Alright, I paused the camera for a minute just because of the sun. Now the sun's behind the trees. We turned a little bit. Now you'll probably see some logs on the side of the road here, but today I made a video. It's the video where I was showing all the sawmills. I'm not sure if I posted that yet when I'm posting this, but the logs on the side of the road was more than I have ever seen in my life. It seems like there's a lot more logs than normal spilled this year. There's one over there. Some of these logs, they're not very big. They're easy to roll out of the road. They're just a little over 8 feet long, so they can trim the end off, make it clean, and get some 8-foot lumber. They do make more than 8-foot lumber. It also comes in 10, 12, 16, 20 feet, sometimes even longer in special order. But most of it's 8 foot. That's what they make studs. Standard is 8 feet. If you got ceilings that are taller than 8 feet, you gotta pay a bit more for that special lumber. There's another log. But earlier there was just mass amounts all over the place. Is the sun gonna be a problem again, maybe? We may have started this moose vlog a little early, but we'll drive a while. There was 2 more logs right there. Ooh, those tires. I actually pulled those tires up and out of there. That was a while ago. They didn't get picked up yet. Starting to turn green. I so I bet my grass really started turning green. I noticed it turning green before I even left. Now I bet it's really green. I don't usually mow my lawn until the end of May, so we got about another month before I would even have to do that. 3 more logs fell out of trucks. 4 more. 5 more right up there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, there's a lot of them. Every time there's a little bump in the road, you're going to see a whole bunch of logs. There's another one. Explored how to use my dash camera this week. There's still some things I don't understand. I still don't know. It supposedly has a button you push that saves the last minute so it doesn't overwrite that clip. So if you see exciting things, you can have them all to go through later, but the instructions don't seem to explain it to me. It's got to be a combination of buttons because it's none of the buttons it has on there, so maybe it's a quick. No, it's not. It also is weird. It doesn't automatically connect through Bluetooth. You have to do some things manually, but it only takes a minute to connect to it, so it's not a huge deal if I got to get something off it. But there's got to be a way that I'm not realizing to do it. Like, I went through it because we had a windstorm earlier today, and a tree fell down in the road just up ahead of me, and I was able to get the footage and zoom into it pretty clearly. I also used it to get a couple of moose that run across the road, and I don't have time to pull the camera out. I also had there's another log, a clip where a moose was chasing a deer, but it was too far away. It was kind of blurry, so I didn't add that to any video. But I mainly got the camera because I see all kinds of stupid people in traffic doing stupid things. So I want to maybe make a compilation of those, but I got to figure out how this thing saves everything, because I can't do that every single time manually. It's just too much work. And you got to pull over and do it immediately, because then it's super hard to find it through the footage. There's a couple more logs. Another log. You'll probably see a few hundred of them, even on this road. That's not as bad. We'll keep the camera going for at least another hour as we're getting dusk. Maybe see some moose. Moose love this time of year. It's finally getting warm. The snow is gone. They love to walk around. There's lots of food. The buds on the trees are starting to open up. They love it. There'll be berries soon. Their grass is starting to grow. They love aquatic grass. That'll all start growing. It actually, the stuff that grows underwater, that type of aquatic grass, that really has already started growing. You see it in the bottom of rivers, green, and it's waving around. They love eating that. The semi-aquatic grass, I should say, is starting to turn green. The stuff that grows on the edges of the river. A lot of moose out. And also the moose love this time of year. A bunch of reasons. There's no log trucks around because it's too muddy. The roads still are kind of messed up. They gotta smooth them out and fix them. There's no people around. It's not tourist season yet. It's not hunting season. I have been driving around out here for the past week, and you see maybe one car a day. We went a couple days without seeing a single car because I was in the very, very remote areas. Today we saw a couple cars. The sunset's starting to look beautiful. Everything in the distance is starting to turn orange. Today I like to go into some of the areas where they plant everything. Most of the woods we're driving through now, they don't plant it. They clear cut it and they let whatever grow back. That's actually better for the environment because it's very diverse, the environment. It's healthier. Today we went to an area where there's a lot of monoculture. What that means is they plant balsam fir, they plant spruce, they'll plant white pine in rows. It's a literal crop. They grow it real fast, cut it down, grow it again, cut it down, that kind of stuff. What we're driving through right now, all this stuff basically grew by itself. It's more healthy. When they log it, they sort it out on the side of the road. Different trucks take it to different places, whether it's going to be lumber, whether it's going to be pulpwood. But what's cool about when they plant it is, if it's flat, they use a machine that goes around and sticks all the seedlings that they pre-grow somewhere else in the ground. If it's more hill, they will do it by hand, because if the ground's not even, the machine isn't even going to plant some of them. It'll plant some of them too deep. It'll plant other ones not deep enough. And I saw that today. I saw some that were just thrown on the top because the machine went over like ruts. And I stuck a few back in the ground. The ground was thawed the top few inches, so I was able to stick a few back in. But what's cool, they put signs up telling you when they plant it and when they plan on cutting it down. I was showing areas that were planted just 1 year ago. They didn't even have a growing season to start growing yet. Trees will typically, their first year or two, won't really grow. They have to adjust, then they'll start growing. They really take off when they get about 5 or 10 years old, once they're very well established. The seedlings are they don't do really good with drought. Like 2020, 2021 were bad years, but we've had very rainy years the past couple, so everything's doing really good. We walked through some areas that were planted 2 years ago. I showed 5 years ago, 12 years ago. I showed stuff that's 30 years old, stuff that's 40 years old, about to get cut down. Depends on the type of tree. If it's white pine, they wait about 70 years on average. Everything else about 40 years is when they get the harvest out. And they plant them so close together, if they don't harvest it on time, they'll start overcrowding and dying out. You can't just let a lot of this forest turn into old growth. You can, but a lot of the trees for a while are going to get super weak until a few of them just die out, where the other ones can spread into those gaps. I don't think we'll see another vehicle tonight, or maybe just one. Not many people out here. It's also a weekend. The loggers aren't even working. Just because the trucks aren't running, the loggers still work. They'll drive out, they'll cut down everything, they'll just stack it next to the road for when the trucks can run. And that's why when you go to the sawmill, they have massive stockpiles of millions of trees. That's so they can operate during this time when they can't get any out. See those blue ribbons with the yellow? That's mine. I did that there. The yellow is because there's a danger to the road. The blue is because there's a water issue. That pipe right there is completely rusted out. There's problems with that one there. That's the one where we, if I even posted it yet, ooh, big tree fell in the road. I told you it was a windstorm today. Look at that. I dragged quite a few of these out of the road today too with the truck. That's a big one. You don't want to be, that's a giant spruce. Yeah, I wouldn't put my transmission through that amount of stress. Let me show you. I pulled a few today. There was one I was able to drag it a little out of the road, you know, like kind of turn it 90 degrees. Usually I'll drag it down the road and park it somewhere out of the way. But one today uprooted and the roots were strong. I wasn't gonna hit the gas that hard. But yeah, this is the biggest one I've seen all day that's down. Look at that. That's a huge one. I'm not going to say I can't drag it, but I wouldn't do that to my transmission unless I absolutely was trapped in here. A full-size pickup probably wouldn't have a problem dragging that. But I was saying, that culvert back there had an ice dam in it, so when we opened it up, I purposely sent a bunch of debris through it to try to stack against the ice dam, and it worked. It clogged up where the water was getting through, and it started eroding it. I can't believe it. The ice dam eroded in like a half an hour, almost completely, where I could just push it out. But a lot of the debris got stuck in the broken pipe too, because I didn't know the bottom was rusted out because it was covered in ice. But that's okay, that pipe failed inspection anyways, it has to be replaced. You see the one big tree up there? That's a white pine. They don't cut those down for 70 years, so they'll log everything else, but they'll leave those ones standing until they're ready. 70 years is when they basically slow down their growth a whole ton, where it's not worth leaving them standing any longer. And some of these might even be old growth. There's some old growth out here, they just leave it standing because they don't have the equipment to take it down. They'd have to cut it down by hand, and it's not even worth it to them. Like if you go out west where the trees are bigger, they have much bigger equipment that can take those down because they're doing it every day. Most of the trees they're taking out of here are like toothpicks compared to those. The old growth. There's not much actual old growth left, so I personally find it sad when they cut down a tree that's so big it barely fits on a truck. But if they cut it down to prevent forest fires from spreading, that's a whole different story. I can't believe I see videos of them cutting down dead redwoods, and people in the comments are angry for some reason. It's dead. It literally shattered into a million pieces when it hit the ground. That was so dry, it must have been dead for years. People don't seem to realize that for some reason, that it was already dead. Who are these people that leave those comments? You can't tell if a tree is alive or not. Who can't tell if a tree is alive? I don't know who these people are. Sometimes if you stop on this bridge, there's moose around. We're just gonna... Wow, this area, the rivers are running very high because today was actually very warm. Yesterday was actually very warm, and you don't see snow here, but there's a lot of snowpack in parts of the woods that are dark with evergreens. Today I'm deciding to take the long way through the wilderness to go south. I could go get on the highway or take the main roads in a couple of hours, but I decided we're going to take like the 6-hour route through the woods. The roads are in better shape, the main arteries, than they were just a couple of weeks ago because they've been working on them. A lot of the mud is drying up already. Our mud season's just about done, and now beaver season's about to get going in full force. The beavers in some areas are already starting to work because they're very angry that the companies drain their ponds in the fall. So they're in full force getting those dams built up. But they typically don't start working in full force until around June, when you get those warm downpours in the summer. That's when they're most active. The beavers are all getting more into it. They don't hibernate, but they slow down in the winter because they can't really do anything when the top of the pond is frozen. They just hang out in their lodge, getting fat, eating tree bark. That warm out. It's 41 degrees Fahrenheit, 5.5 Celsius. This is a cool day. Yesterday was warm. It 65 degrees or 17 or so Celsius. It was a very warm day for this time of year. Around here, it can still snow for another 6 weeks potentially. I guarantee we're going to get at least another coating of snow. It always gets cold again in May this far north. We have a couple frosts still in the forecast, but it's mostly over. A lot of good warm weather. I can finally start doing things. I love winter, but I'm glad it's finally over. This far north, there's only 3 months of growing season. My area, there's 4 months technically. You're guaranteed. Sometimes there's 5 months, which I think this year we're going to have an earlier spring. They're forecasting that too. Last year there was no early spring whatsoever. We had a deep freeze 4 days before the growing season in my area starts. And that's why they choose that date for a reason. It could potentially even freeze after that, but historically that is when you're safe. Then 2 years ago, I planted my garden the first week of May, nearly a month before the growing season, and it lived. I think I had to cover it a couple times with bed sheets just for a light frost, but I'm lucky there was no sudden deep freeze. I would have lost things, but I got lucky. What I mean by that is every now and then you'll get a whole extra month of growing season. It depends. Every year is different. Every year it is different indeed. 2019 was a normal year. 2020 was a lot of drought, but normal temperatures. 2021 was severe drought with extreme heat that we're not used to. Usually up here, the average high, this area, the average high is like 72 in the summer, which I think is about 20 Celsius. My area is 76, the average, which is about 22, 23 Celsius, and that year we got into the low 90s for the average. That's not normal. A lot of trees died because the root systems only go down a couple of feet, and there was no rain. But then that horrible year was followed by 2022. The average high was 68 or 20 or 19 degrees Celsius. That was a cold year. It rained almost every day. Even the native plants started growing fungus on the leaves. They weren't used to that. Then 23 was a perfect year. Good amount of rain, but also a good amount of sunshine mixed perfectly. 2024, very rainy spring, early summer, lots of severe floods on the rivers. Then the fall, we started to get into a drought, but you know what? It didn't matter because temperatures were normal, they were cool. That time of year, late summer, the trees aren't really growing anymore. They're thinking about getting into hibernation for fall. Didn't really cause us any issues. I know down south, New Jersey had some wildfires. They didn't expect that drought, but we weren't really affected. I think we're still maybe technically in a drought, but this area had 5-6 feet of snow super far up here. My area had 3 feet. That sounds like a lot to some people that might live in the south, but that's not normal. My area usually averages 88 or 90 inches of snow. Up here, I'm not exactly sure the statistic, but I'm sure it's a lot higher. We got maybe a little more than half of that. We haven't had a super deep year since when was that? I think it was the year I moved far up north. We had a lot of snow the first year, but never anything since. But this year was nice compared to the last few. Last few years, I don't even think we had more than a foot on the ground at once, but this was a decent year. We had some rainy days. We have a couple more rainy days in the forecast. Who knows what the summer will be like? Every year is different. Average is just an average, factoring in both of those extremes. I don't know what's going to happen this year, but it seems like we have an early spring after a colder than normal winter. The last couple years were warmer. I shouldn't say it was colder than normal. It was colder than the last few. 2021 was awesome. We had negative 30 degree temperatures almost every single night for 2 months. For like 2.5 months, it was well below freezing even for the daytime high. That was awesome. Waterfalls froze. The most raging rivers froze solid where you could walk across them. The water dropped, leaving these awesome cavities you could walk underneath, suspended by rocks and stuff. All kinds of cool ice formations, horrible frost heaves, all kinds of stuff. That was a pretty cool year. This winter was pretty comparable. Not as cold, but comparable to that. Moose. I saw a good amount of them today, even out in the daytime. Last night we saw a ton too. I wonder how many trees we're gonna see down, because we're taking a long way through the wilderness now. Today was a windstorm. I even got out while I was filming something. You could hear it slowly cracking and then crash. Right in front of my very eyes there was one. Oh, this flood, we were here about a night ago. No, a week ago. Not a night ago. There's multiple culverts here. There's one that's working right in front of me that I didn't even notice the other day when we were here. I forget what day it even was. I've done a lot of these roads and I'm pretty tired. Look at that tree that fell across right here. See my blue ribbon? I was definitely here at some point in the past week. I just can't remember what day it was. But there's a pretty big culvert right underneath here. It's a weird oval one. Like 2 feet tall, over 3 feet wide. It's something I can't fit in, and the dam is right in the middle of it, so there's really nothing we can do about it other than mark it. And you might wonder why I mark things that appear to be pretty obvious. You know, of course we're going to mark things that are hazards to somebody driving, but why bother marking something that's super obvious? That's because if it starts getting dry out and that water's not in the road, it might not be apparent that that's clogged. And that's to make sure that they can get around to it. I would love to be around when they unclog something like that and be able to ask if I could film it. I'm sure they'd let me. They use like a long log. They'll grab it with the excavator and they'll just jam it right through. And very conveniently, they got logs everywhere, spilled from their trucks. There's a flooded area right here. I think we stopped at this too at some point, and we couldn't find anything, but I want to get out, see what's going on right here. Let's get out for a minute. I could use this stretch. My legs feel like noodles after being in there for a while. That pipe's working overtime, so I think it's just at capacity from the spring thaw. I don't think there's anything actually wrong. It's not coming into the road. There's no evidence it was. And before it would go into the road, it would just probably take the ditch to the next pipe as designed. Here it is. Yeah, that is severely under pressure. I just want to see, is there anything in front of it? Let's see how strong is that suction. Doesn't feel very strong, but I don't see anything in front of it. It's working pretty good. And that, they lost that one probably a year ago. That's been in there a while. Well, let's keep going looking for moose. This truck is so dirty. Every time I come out here, especially mud season, I always bring home hundreds of pounds of mud that I gotta pressure wash out of the wheel wells, the skid plates. Dust season, there's pros and cons. Dust season is easy to clean up after. I noticed during dust season, if you have your car nicely waxed, you can sometimes just spray it off. It's pretty easy. Then you gotta change your air filters. Sometimes I'll pressure wash the engine out. You just stay away from the electrical stuff. Pretty simple, straightforward. But dust season at the same time, it gets inside. It gets in your door jambs. So every time you open and shut the door, poof, into the car. The whole dashboard will be just covered in dust. But arguably, that's not as hard to clean. That's what that location right here, that we unclog this one right here all the time. I don't think there's a problem right now because we did it in the fall. It's a secondary pond. It's not the beaver's priority, and I don't think they clogged it up since we were here in the fall. And the sun is looking beautiful and orange down there. Yeah, this is one we've done before. It's working really nicely. There's a grate over here. Nothing's clogged against the grate since we were here. This was an epic unclogging back in the fall because there was a gigantic... Ooh, did you see the wind, what it did to the water? That was cool. There was a big bog, which means a floating island of grass. Sometimes they even have trees and bushes growing on them, but it's held up by gas. There's a lot of stinky, rotten stuff making it float. There was one of those, and I was surprised how easily it broke apart and we just sent it all through the pipe. That was a fun one. It was a bog blocking it. It wasn't even the beavers. I don't know if they're even still there, to be honest. Look at that log. I don't think I'm going home. I'm gonna park somewhere when I get tired. But I like taking the long way through the wilderness. At night, I wouldn't be driving as fast because of the moose. You can't see as well. Kind of surprised we haven't seen one yet. There's another log. This is one of the most well-maintained logging roads. This is one of the best ones. You can drive so fast here no matter what time of year. Then there's other ones you have to crawl. It is so bad. I'm sorry. I keep saying I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm still putting a cup underneath my tripod to keep it from rattling. And you know what? It's working. I am eventually gonna super glue an actual tripod to my dashboard. I don't care if it would leave a mark because I don't ever plan on selling this truck, and I don't care because there's always going to be a tripod there if I do it. I'm just worried it's going to be too low and there's going to be too much hood because right now the camera's like 6 inches above the dashboard. But that's just an excuse. I haven't even experimented the idea yet. I always forget when I'm home. I only get a reminder of when I'm actually out here, because when I'm filming on paved roads, the rattling's not a problem. Someone flagged that with blue ribbon. See, the edge of the road is slipping a little there. Stay away from the shoulders still. I bet you this ground is still frozen in certain spots, but mud season has ended on a good amount of the roads already. But there's some mountain roads you can still find 2 feet of snow. Wow, look at all these logs. Still very windy. I don't have a chainsaw on me. I honestly rarely bring a chainsaw because they're always dripping oil and stuff, especially if it's hot out. You gotta put it somewhere. Put something under it to catch that dripping. Doesn't matter if it's electric or not. I'd prefer the gas one in case I have a huge job out here, but I don't carry it because I don't need it often. If a tree falls across the road, I got a handsaw. I'll eventually break it in half and then drag it out of the way. There's not many trees out here that are that big. Just look around. The likelihood of an old growth falling across the road is not likely. They have lived through a lot. I don't think it's just gonna randomly fall, and if it does, there's a maze of roads out here. I'll find another way around it, because you're not gonna cut an old growth in half by hand. Some of those things are 3 feet thick, but again, there's not many out here. In fact, a lot of trees that fall in the road, even though I drag them with the truck, it's just fun. Some of them you can even just move by hand, especially if you cut it in half. These trees aren't very heavy or very big, a lot of them. I appreciate the couple thousand people that usually watch these vlogs. It's nice to have someone to talk to, even just the camera out here, when we're driving these isolated roads. We drive these roads a lot. I probably drive 25,000 miles of dirt roads a year. Travel a lot of this stuff every year. People say I drive too fast and I'm gonna break something. I don't think I am. I've done this for years with this truck. It's built for off-road. The shocks sometimes make a knocking noise, but apparently my mechanic said that's normal. Don't worry about it with that type of shock. My old car is still alive at, it's probably going to hit 400,000 miles by the end of the year. It's possible. Nothing wrong. I didn't break any of its shocks. I sheared one off, so yes, I had to replace one of them, but it lived probably 150,000 of its miles were this. And it wasn't even made for off-road, and it did extremely well. And I don't try to hit bumps hard, but the stuff I'm driving over right now, I'm not going to just go over it very slow, because the amount of miles I cover out here, if I drove even half this speed, we wouldn't be able to do too much. This stuff is very far apart. And when we come out here, we don't really even know what we're looking for. We just come across issues, and wow, the sun is becoming very, very pretty right now. Look at that. Very pretty out here. When I get home tomorrow, I'm gonna rest my breath for a little bit. Did a lot of voiceovers and talking these couple of days. This area is beautiful. I don't have a cowbell on my truck anymore. I removed it because, what do you call that in the middle? The pendulum? I lost it. It fell off. But it rang for 30,000 miles from northern Ontario down to South Florida Keys, across out to Arkansas. 30,000 miles the cowbell lasted of ringing before it finally broke. I thought it helped with keeping deer and stuff away, but that proved to be false. So I'm not going to put another one on. I'm sure a lot of you heard that in my videos. It's pretty soundproof in here. I've never heard it once, unless the windows are open. But the cowbell's gone. So a cowbell, a cheap cowbell, that only cost like $5, lasted 30,000 miles under the back of the truck. Wonder how long a high quality one would last. But I've experimented with those whistles you put on the bumper or the roof of your car that are supposed to scare deer away. honestly don't think they do anything. I've had deer still run out across the road. I've had deer just stare at me as I'm coming. I don't think it does anything really. Just being honest, I don't think it does anything. In better shape than the last time I took it last week, so all the puddles dried up. It might not take as long to get through this. It might not take 6 hours. I'm thinking because I'm able to go so fast, it might only take 3. Maybe I will end up going home tonight. We'll see. I took this, I wasn't able to go this fast. What I'm realizing is, yeah, mud season's ending. All the frost heaves have settled down. There was a bunch of parts of the road that had ripples and stuff you had to drive over slow. They all settled down because it was warm this week. Everything melted out and everything kind of flattened itself. It's pretty cool. Yeah. A lot happened this week. There's still snow here. Yeah, there's more snow in some of the corners, but where the sun's able to get, melted. Wow, all the rivers we're driving over are getting high, much higher than last week, because everything's really, really melting in the higher elevations. And with all these evergreen trees, you're not seeing it from the road, but there's still snow in there. Feet of it in some case, melting. Tomorrow's gonna be warm again. Today was the cool day. They'll be running trucks again soon in May. June in certain places, it's all different. I think we're actually gonna take a road up here that I did not take yet this year. So we could find something new. If we find a pretty big blockage, we'll wait it out overnight and go to it in the morning. At least last week I was able to. We made a 3-hour video where I had to detour a bunch of times because the roads were so snowed in. We saw a lot of moose in that video, so that was pretty cool. Boom. horizon line, how nice the sun looks. I can't believe this road, I could not even drive 40 comfortably. Now we're able to drive like 50 through this road. But as it's getting darker, especially these tighter areas, I'm slowing down because I don't want a moose to jump out. Only go fast when we have visibility around. Now we're passing through a semi-abandoned logging camp. A lot of the buildings aren't being used, but a couple people still live here. There's a bunch of mobile homes and stuff in the woods to the left. A couple people still live here, but a lot of these structures are abandoned. Or maybe they're seasonal. I don't even see evidence that anyone's there right now. Since the last week, this river's actually running lower. It's all depending where you are. Now I'm starting to see more snow in the woods. Now it's suddenly got a lot darker, you see? Yeah, that's why there's a lot of snow. This area doesn't get as much sun coming up the mountain, but when we go back down the next dip, I bet there'll be a lot more. See, that's not an old growth, but that's a white pine, and even that right there, which is probably only 40 years old itself, maybe not even, they grow pretty fast. If that fell on the road, I'm not probably getting through that with a handsaw. It's still pretty big. Those are our biggest trees, height-wise. I think oak is probably the fattest tree, but this far north, oak is rare and it doesn't grow that big. Ooh, I know where we are now. That's starting to flood. Oh, wait a sec. We're gonna get out here. I want to confirm, is this beavers or is it just the flood waters? We were here not too long ago checking this one out. It's still pretty windy out, so we were here not too long ago. So this culvert can never get to capacity, but the little side road over there is flooding over. Last week it was not. It was about a month ago. Beavers like to clog this pipe, but even when it floods that neighboring road. I don't think beavers are here. I really don't think beavers are here. Let's take a peek. Nope, but I had to check because beavers have been a problem here in the past, and I bet you in the summer they'll be back. We even had cool footage here when we left the trail camera in there of them building back. I want to do more of that maybe in the summer. That's like an X, that's kind of cool. Alrighty. Getting really good gas mileage out here since the roads improved. Some of the mud holes I've been driving in, we were getting horrible, like 13, 15. Now we're actually up to 19. Pretty good for this type of road. Going down, I gotta put the heat up a little bit. Put the high beams on for safety now. hear a lot of spring peepers coming out here. I wonder if they're out in my area. They weren't a week ago, but these warm weather, if it's bringing them out up here, I bet my area is going to have them too. Down south a bit. Those are my blue ribbons, I believe. Yep, these are my blue ribbons too. Starting to get a couple frost heaves back in this area. This area hasn't thawed out yet. Ooh. Look over there. We got a moose. Now it's time to drive a little slower. All turning green here. Yep, we still got frost heaves and there's noticeable snow still around. Here. This is what causes those logs to fall off. I'm sure the logging company's happy that most of these roads, though, are already showing spring improvement. Culvert. A lot of water going through it. Now right there's one of the buildings that one of the rangers will live at in the summer. We got a hole in the road. expanding. It pushes up all these sections. Even during the driest summer, some of the hills you're still going to see water leaking out of it from springs. Those springs take forever to dry up. We've been going about an hour now. It's now 7:30. muddy at some point, so they put logs all over the road. Then they put dirt over it to help get rid of it, and some of those are getting pushed up by frost. See, with the bumps, you're always going to find logs all over the place that are falling off these trucks. Water level here is not high. I guess every river's different. good shape, they'll start running the truck soon. Damage around here doesn't seem to be that bad, especially for the amount of driving we're doing. Bumps. You gotta add more dirt over those ones. That's not gonna recede. probably improve. The mud's all gone, so we're not splashing through really any water. So they're not really going to get dirty again if I clean them. I'll get out in a little bit when it gets darker and we can see if it makes a difference. I'll just use a rag. I have a rag in here I use for cleaning the windows, but I'll use it for wiping the headlights and I'll just wash it. That's probably a frozen culvert. It's probably still frozen. This area is starting to get some snow back. Temperature finally started dropping, and we got snow around us now. For the longest time, the temperature just sat exactly the same, 41 degrees for almost this entire ride. 5.5 degrees Celsius. Now we're finally down to 39, which is I think 4.5 Celsius. Finally starting to get cooler. We're not supposed to get below freezing tonight, but we're gonna get close. In these areas, maybe it will get below freezing. It always gets colder out here than it is forecasted because all the places that you look at the forecast are neighboring towns and cities, and towns and cities absorb heat from the sun. There's no tree cover, there's buildings, vehicles, all kinds of things producing heat. It's always colder than they say it's going to be out here. A lot colder than they say it's going to be, depending what time of year. Like, there was one time I was sleeping at a northern Maine Walmart. In the middle of the night, there was just a bunch of people in the parking lot yelling and making noise, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drive into the woods now instead of waiting until the morning. That was one of my trips I had to make out to get supplies, so I just decided to come back out here, and I was surprised. The temperature was like 15 degrees lower out here, and I only drove about an hour. I was surprised. Turn around because I almost didn't even see that. It blended in kind of well because it's not a living tree. Yeah, especially at night, you can't really see that. I can't even barely see it up there, even in the other direction. I'm going to either move it or at the very least put some colorful ribbon on the end of that. Because someone else could smash into that. They're probably not going to get hurt, but that's going to scuff up somebody's vehicle. I might be able to move it because it's dead. It's probably very light. If not, I'm at least gonna mark it. Oh yeah, it is colder out now. No need to mark it. That was pretty light. I was more thinking it wasn't going to turn like it's wedged or something. But we got it out of the road. Sometimes you got to think, you know, I wouldn't have wanted to crash into that. And when it's darker, someone else driving fast out here could hit that in the middle of the night, because the employees out here, they drive extremely fast. Like today, I wasn't going over any of the speed limits. I didn't want to go any faster, especially with the moose around, but some of these people out here that work out here, that know these roads by heart, they know every single corner and twist. They'll be driving sometimes 50, 60 miles an hour down these, and if I barely saw that at that speed, I thought I should get it out of the road. Just the color of it, it blended into the road, it being gray and not dark green. Like the other trees, you could see a big mass. That's why I didn't make a point of getting them out of there, because the next piece of heavy machinery to drive by, they're just gonna blast right through it. Temperature's back up to exactly what it was the whole ride, basically. Got some more frost heaves right here. See all that blue ribbon there? I put that up about a week ago because I found a culvert that isn't causing a problem quite yet, but it's backing up an entire gully with a lot of water. And that could be bad eventually because the culvert's barely working and it's so far underneath sludge and debris, you couldn't even figure out where it was, so I marked it. They're gonna hate to replace that one, but they probably are gonna have to because it's a metal pipe. The trees are so big growing on that hill. It had to have been down there 30 plus years, so yeah, that thing is gonna be that's definitely rusted out without even seeing it. I know it's gotta be replaced, and that's gonna be quite the job digging down to it. The elevation of the road is so high, if they let that fill up, it could push out. The road is not meant to be a dam, and the temperature dropped again. I was weird how it just stayed solid for a good over an hour. Now it's starting to fluctuate with these dips and rises. Getting longer now. It'll be light out until nearly 9 o'clock by June. Ooh. I should plug the camera in. I just got notified 15% remaining. I recently got a better charger in here because it used to take so long to charge, and sometimes even if I was recording something, it would be draining faster than it's charging. But I bought a new charger for like $30. It'll charge it in like 30 minutes. Pretty fast charger, and that's nice. I've had fast chargers in the past, but they've been cheaper ones, and the transformer seems to degrade pretty fast. And if you are gonna get cheap phone chargers, don't. I bought like a 10-pack of super cheap ones. It was like 10 of them for $10. They look just like the Samsung chargers, except there was no label on them. And I had 2 of them melt, so the rest of them I just threw them all right in the garbage because I don't need the house burning down. Yeah, so typically, if it doesn't say anything on it like UL listed, I would not use it. I would also not use the ones from the dollar store. They're low quality and they're garbage. Supposedly it won't probably wreck the phone because it has a charge regulator in it. But that being said, I wouldn't buy those cheap ones that could start a fire. Like older phones, like I have an older phone that's probably 2016 or something. It does have a USB-C, the same thing. You plug a supercharger into it, it's not made for it. But the phone recognizes that, and even though these fast chargers will charge this phone in a half an hour, the older phone recognizes that it wasn't made to take that amount of current or that amount of wattage. So it'll say on the screen, estimated charging time 2 hours or something, because it knows what it can take without breaking itself. But the newer chargers, they charge very quickly, and I've been doing it. I've had a good charger for like almost a year. It doesn't seem to degrade the battery or anything. Like, batteries supposedly last longer if you charge them slowly, but I don't see an issue with it. I usually keep my phones for 2 or 3 years of operation before upgrading, but I don't get rid of the other one. I'll just use those as camera 2 or 3 or for other things. But every time I upgrade, I'm like, oh wow, the battery lasts so long. So they do slowly degrade, but over time you just basically adjust to it. I don't see any huge issue with the newer chargers because the devices are literally made for it now. Around here wasn't as windy. I'm not seeing much damage now. That was very minimal damage. I've seen windstorms up here in the wilderness. Oh, when was that? It was the same time I showed on my property years back I lost like 50 trees in a matter of hours. We've never had another storm like that. I've had here and there one fall down, two fall down, never anything since. But that same time, that same storm where I lost 50 trees, you come up here, oh, these wilderness roads, some of them were blocked for weeks. There was so many. I still haven't even bothered cleaning up most of that. I cleaned up most of it, but not all of it. It's just out in the woods. Sometimes the trees just go down like dominoes. There's an intersection coming up eventually here, or a T. Should be a sign warning you that the intersection's coming up. There always are, especially when they have those super big trucks that can't stop in time. They gotta warn that that's coming up. When I'm living in the truck for extended amounts of time, I'll just use wet wipes, especially in a place like this where I can't shower. If it was summer, I'd hop in a river, hop out, suds up, hop back in, but the rivers are so cold right now. We gotta wait until at least June or July to do that. But the rivers do get pretty warm up here. That being said, even though we're so far north, you just gotta wait. The lakes up here are pretty shallow, so they get really warm too. I was even swimming once in October. We had one warm fall. But anyways, I brought that up because I'm going to use the wet wipes. I'm going to clean the headlights. And while I do it, I'm going to pause the camera, so when I start it again, you'll be able to tell me if it made a difference. I'm going to pause it, and you'll suddenly see it get a little brighter, hopefully. Yeah, that made a ton of difference after not cleaning it for about a week on these dirt roads. I could see as I was doing it was making a difference, and I was also surprised how many scratches are on the plastic headlights just from driving through bushes and stuff over the years. But it's bound to happen out here. And also, just simply washing off mud is also abrasive. The truck's covered in mud more than half the time, I'd say. Because we're always out here. I wish they still made glass headlights. Like, I think they change a lot of things just to make money, because these plastic headlights cost more than the old-fashioned glass ones. And they're gonna fade, or you're gonna spend a bunch of money putting chemicals on them to prevent them from drying out. Also, yeah, like the off-road light, that has glass lenses, but I'm talking about, you know, those old vehicles, you know? Just look at vehicles from like the 90s. Whether it was a big semi-truck, whether it was a bus, whether it was an SUV or a car, they all had the same size square headlights. They were all basically interchangeable. They didn't fade because they were glass, and if you cracked one, the store only had to sell one, so you never had to special order them or anything because every auto shop had them. Oh, there's another tree. It's a big one. Yeah, and that goes way down there. That's bigger than you think it is. That's only like half of it in the road. That was a tall one. That's a big, big one. but that's pretty noticeable. I don't think we need to hang a ribbon on that one. But the edge is soft, so you gotta be careful here. That was a big one. Let me look at it again. See if there's anything we can do about it. In those older vehicles with the square headlights, they even make entire headlight replacement that are LED now. I'm just seeing if there's any way we could maybe get that out of there. I kind of want to get that out of there. If you don't want to just watch boringness of me, you can fast forward this. I'm going to try to saw it a little bit. And maybe we can pull it with the truck and snap it, the end of it off. That's what I'm going for. But I'm going to keep the camera going the whole time. I think I got a good hand saw. I know I had a handsaw in here somewhere. Maybe not. I thought I had one. Let me grab a flashlight and peek. Yeah, it just slid under the seat. Let's try to cut through part of it like halfway on the back side so it'll snap as I pull it towards me. Hopefully. We're gonna try this. This saw's not even going through it. That's not gonna work. Wish I had the chainsaw, that'd go through it in a second. Should I hook onto it and just hope for the best? And we're not going to give this a lot of pressure, but we're just going to see if it'll budge. Am I even close enough? I don't think I am. I wish there was a way to shut that alarm off, because I have the door often when I'm doing these things open. Next time I get a truck, I'm gonna get one with a V8 that can do this stuff better. Yeah, I don't like doing that to the transmission. Try it one more time. Yeah, we're not doing this. I tried a little bit, so I guess good. We're just gonna clean that up. I already said in this video why I don't like carrying the chainsaw, and this isn't a very common thing. If I was determined, I'd get it out of here somehow, but it's not really a big issue, so someone's gonna come through here eventually with a big truck, and they're just gonna get it out of here in a moment. Usually I don't need the power to move things, but every now and then there's something I can't move, whether it's a big trailer or something. But it's not too often when I find myself limited like that. And I probably could have backed up with a lot of force, but I don't want something to snap and the shackle just goes right through the windshield. Probably could have winched it too, but I don't want to burn out the winch or anything at the same time. Okay, though, we did more than most people would have. I marked it. I was talking about. Feels like forever ago I mentioned that. I do need to get a better handsaw. I do have a better handsaw. It's in my old car though, because I was doing tree work during the last storm. The chainsaw's even in my old car. So I had to go over to a friend's house a few weeks back and help cut up trees. When your wheels are turned, that's when you can break things, or you can throw off the steering where your wheel's crooked when you are the wheel's crooked when you're going straight. Now, this is one that we can move for fun. We can totally move this one. Earlier today I moved a bunch of these, so we'll hook up to this real quick, just for fun. I can't believe the amount of tree sap that is on that toe strap from moving things like this. Yeah, this one weighs nothing. Car's not even struggling. That was pretty abrupt, but we got it out of the road. I think it's still connected to the ground by the root. That was pretty abrupt when that tightened up. Wait. No, we broke it free, look. We are pulling the tree down the road. Look at that. That doesn't weigh much. That last one back there probably weighed more than the vehicle. Take the tension off and disconnect from it. All cleaned up. How many more do you think we'll find? Anytime I can help, I'll try to get it out of the road at least. If I had a chainsaw, I would have got the other one out. That tow strap actually is like an air freshener. It's just covered in sap. Whole thing, it smells like the whole truck now. It just smells like a pine. It smells like pine in here now from it. And on my hands, they're covered in pine. There's a lack of wildlife tonight compared to the last week. I do know why. It's been warm out. Today, and especially right now, it's dipping down near the freezing mark. High beam, off-road lights, shut everything off. First vehicle in 2 hours. Well, the video's been going 2 hours, but it's been a lot longer. Can't believe the sky's still lit up. We are pretty far north. I was amazed when I went up to northern Ontario last summer. It doesn't get dark until 11, and it wasn't even the longest day of the year. That was cool. I've always wanted to go to northern Canada or Alaska in the summer when they have like over a month of solid daylight. The sun just never sets. And the sun just never comes up in the winter. I always thought that would be fun to live in a place like Alaska. Yeah, you don't have a long growing season, but you make up for it by having the sun never going down for a while. In Alaska, still get warm in the summer. People don't realize it's just not for very long. And then the very top of Alaska, when I watch videos on that, they have almost 2 months of daylight, almost 2 months of darkness, but that far north, trees don't grow up there. You just have grass. And because it's so far north, it doesn't get warm, despite the sun being up all the time. It just doesn't really get warm. About time. There's the stop sign, ahead sign. About time we got here. I misjudged a bit, or maybe it's just because we had those slowdowns there. Now the sky's dark because we're heading east, away from the sun. Now this road's gonna be messed up. This area is a little bit colder, and this is a very swampy, wet road. There's gonna be lots of bumps and potholes, but maybe more moose because it's so wet and swampy. The swamp donkeys love this. And this area is actually gonna force me to drive pretty slow. A lot of bumps. There's another one. Someone cut the end of it off. Maybe it was that guy. Because there's not many people out here. This is the day of the week that the loggers head into town and stock up when they're not working. Because it's like a 4-hour round trip to go to the supermarket. West right now, so I guess we turned. Yeah, we turned. There's another corner coming up. Ooh, the stars are coming out tonight. Can you see that up there? It's a bright one. Now we're going southwest. I feel like the car is wrong because I see the sun. No, it's right. Now it's saying south and the sun's to my left, to my right. Yeah, this road is still a mess. This is kind of what the other road was like. It's not a lot of potholes. It's a bunch of ripples of the frost just heaving everywhere. Ooh, temperature dropped even more. Now we're down to 37. Or about 2.5 Celsius. You see what we just went by? It's a tiny portable church. It's on a trailer. You'll find that randomly throughout the logging wilderness. It's always in a different spot. Wherever they're logging, the little church gets pulled around for whoever wants to go in it. It's a little portable church. I made a video going in it once. You go into it, there's some pictures on the walls. There's a couple of pews in there with Bibles. There's like a little notebook where you can write your name in there, or like a log book. Solar powered light inside it. Pretty cool. This used to be a big beaver swamp. Beavers haven't been on this road in years. They relocated them all. Got a lot of groundwater leaking here. Yeah, I guess it's the colder temperatures. It makes the moose hunker down. But we got warmer days coming. I'll make some more videos like this at some point. I guarantee you, as soon as I shut the camera off, there's gonna be a moose. That happens so much. It's just luck. The only moose we saw, I don't think we got a good shot of it. I had a very good view of a moose earlier today. I was up on one of the highest logging bridges. It has to be like 70 feet above the water. Probably more. But I stopped on it. I looked down on the grassy edge of the river, and there was a moose staring up at me. It was stared at me for like 10 seconds, but by the time I got the camera, it was running away. I got some shots of it running away, but should have been faster. I always keep my phone next to me on the seat, and all I have to do is click it on and swipe to get the camera going, and it takes a few seconds. Yeah, I will probably stop and sleep out here at some point. I'm getting a bit tired. We'll go until the 2-hour mark, then I'll end tonight's vlog. Temperature's back up again a bit. 39 now. Back to what I was saying about those older headlights, how simple things used to be when all the vehicles had the same exact type of things. Same thing with auto glass, when windshields used to all be flat. Now they got a slight curvature that it doesn't help at all with aerodynamics. It's so minimal, especially with the heavy duty trucks. They put these crooked windshields for no reason. When you have like a log truck, that does not make a difference. When just a regular piece of square safety glass, it's so cheap, just flat piece of glass. And I learned that I didn't know that you could cut safety glass. I've seen people on YouTube doing it. I didn't think you'd be able to cut that type of glass. I thought it had to be made to the size, but apparently not. I've seen people cut it. I thought when you would score it, it would just explode into a million pieces. Safety glass is hard to get it to crack, but once it cracks, it goes crazy. You gotta get it from the edge. You saw that water to the left trickling down the road. Beavers have been issues at this culvert pipe right here before. Is this the one I'm thinking of? It looks a bit overgrown. It might not be the one I'm thinking of. That pipe is almost underwater. If it's the one I'm thinking of, there will be a grate right there. I want to hop out for a moment and just look at that. Yeah, see the water down there trickling down the road? Well, this has always been a bad one. It's got to be beavers. It should have a grate on the end of it. What happened to the grate? There's no grate anymore. Even when I get out just in front of my truck, I'm always nervous because of the bear that tried to get in the car about a week ago when I was sleeping. Hopping in here, encountering it out there. I don't think it would go near me. I think it's because I was sleeping and it was just quiet and it was an object in the woods that it didn't recognize. Yeah, the grate is not there. I don't know why. It's supposed to have a big grate. This would be a pretty easy one to unclog, honestly. Yeah, we might wait this one out and get it in the morning. Well, I gotta find somewhere to sleep anyways. How's the downstream side? So that one right there, actually we're not gonna wait it out. We're just gonna mark it with blue ribbon, and the reason is it doesn't look like much. That's actually a 4-foot pipe. And to unclog it successfully, I would have to get in the water to at least my waist, which I don't have a problem doing in the warmer weather, but I just cannot do it right now. It's just too cold out. The big high boots are not going to help with this one. That is a massive amount of water going down the road too. This swamp is massive. It goes very far. Beavers have been problems here before, but it's been years. A new family must have moved in, and this was not flooded a couple weeks ago, or whenever I last went down here. Maybe it was just too frozen with snow banks to even notice it. It could have been. There was a lot of snow the last time I was here. And that's another culvert pipe that we just drove over for the same swamp. They must have plugged them both. And that's definitely beavers, what I saw there. It was a dam right on the end of it. There's no grate or anything like that. Well, we'll remember that one. Come back to it when it's a bit warmer, but I put the ribbon up so the road crews or maybe get it before I come back up here. Every now and then I'll get someone on my comments that gets mad at me for doing that, putting a ribbon up and letting the company go ahead and remove it. They're mad that they don't get to see me unclogging it. I'm not going to sacrifice a safety issue by not flagging it just so I can possibly come back and do it on camera a month later. I'm not going to leave a safety issue out there just so I can maybe make a video of it in the future. More frost heaves. Well, I've been talking a lot. I think we're gonna end the video in just a moment. Let's let it get to the 2-hour mark. To get photographed. Is this the corner I think it is? Yes, it is. This is where beavers also used to be a major menace. Are they back? No, it's still drained. This is one of the, if you remember the culvert that's like completely smushed, like the excavator just put the whole bucket down through it. Log trucks one time even flipped over into that swamp. The beavers must have been angry, or maybe super excited thinking they were getting a free delivery of wood because it was floating around everywhere, if you remember that video. The truck was already gone. They removed it, but yeah, a truck flipped over there into the beaver pond. And all the logs were floating everywhere still. But I hope today's video was interesting, everyone. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Years ago, we also saw a log trailer with all the logs on it burnt. The tires were burnt. Somehow the log truck caught fire. I don't know if it was a bad bearing or whatever it was, but the driver was able to disconnect from the trailer and save the truck, at least.